Greetings to everyone out there in YouTube land. I'm Ahmed Hassanin, and I just want to give a shout out to Coach Dan. Thank you for all the support you show the team and the players. Everyone hit the like, subscription button, and yell woo in the comments. Thank you, and go Lions.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube. I am Dan O'Damas, and I'm here to give you your weekly predictions about the next contest for your Lions from Detroit. Let me tell you, I have spent much time checking into this, and I have come to the inevitable conclusion, and I have looked into the future for the basketball of faith, and I have foreseen Jared Goff running for 8 yards. That's right, setting the NFL on blaze as he rushes very quickly for each of those 8 yards. Also, the Detroit Lions defense comes up with 1, 2, 3 turnovers to help the Detroit Lions record a last-second score that will result in a 38-35 victory. Yes, the running attack for the Detroit Lions will be somewhat held in check, but the passing attack of JG himself and the Detroit Lions receivers, tight ends, and everybody else who catches passes will go ablaze, leading this furious rally in the late third quarter until the end of the final whistle of the game. Lions will record an epic win on the road next Monday night. Tune in and check it out. Mwah! Well, thank you, Dan O'Damas, for making a little time out of your busy schedule to join us. I am your regular host, Dan Thornton, and I want to say greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. Thank you for tuning into Lions Talk Live, and we've got a big breakdown for the upcoming game on today's show. The Lions, hey, we get it. They're faced with a big task, being on the road in Baltimore, a team historically they have not done incredibly well against. But you know what? With great opportunity comes great opportunity for success. So that's what we have. We've got an inevitable conclusion between two of the NFL's best teams out there. It's on the road. We all get it. Green Bay didn't go so well for the Detroit Lions. Let's see how much they've grown. Road Warriors, the offensive line, will they be able to communicate better? If they can do that, this rushing attack, this passing attack can do a lot of damage to that Baltimore Ravens defense, which is more than likely going to be missing 1, maybe 2 pieces out there. And even if they're at full strength, I'm not exactly sure these are the Ravens of the past. They have put fear into people with their defense. We'll break it down with Professor Steele during the main topic of the day. Before that, though, if you would be so kind, we're trying to get the channel to 14,600 subscribers. We are 81 subs away, so if you can do it, if you would be so kind, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you have a half-second time, it's free of charge, won't cost you anything. Go ahead and reach over, hit the thumbs up button, the like button, whatever you want to call it. Go ahead and hit that. We try to get every episode of the show between 2, 3, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last but most certainly never least, if you are considering buying or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan where I reside or the continent of the United States, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. You see the number on the screen, 269-998-2384. I've been a realtor for over 30 years. If you want somebody who's going to watch your back, not overcharge you, make sure nobody, jabs you, works you in any kind of bad way, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. See the number. We'll go from there. All right, all that out of the way. Let's get this show kicking off, rock and rolling, going with 5 headlines now. I kind of like Dan O'Damas's idea of the Lions, rallying back late in the, game to come back and win. Let's see if that is as foretold. All right, injured Lions depth piece could finally make 2025 debut in Week 3 fan side. Ooh, brother, we've been talking about the Lions and injuries. Maybe it's been their Achilles heel for a while. We've also been wondering why Sion Vaki was drafted by the Detroit Lions, even traded up for to acquire. Could he be a safety? Could be a punt returner, a kick returner? Can he be a running back? Can he be a wide receiver? Maybe all things can be accurate and true. What we do know is we might actually get to see him on the field Monday night. He's, I can only tell you from watching him in college, he's got a lot of flexibility. I don't know if he'll ever be a safety or a nickel back or anything like that in the NFL, but it's possible. I don't know if he'll be a running back, but it's possible. What I can tell you is he's very athletic. He's got good hands. Yes, he can hit. He's got a whole lot of different stuff. He's going to be able to play special teams. He's going to be able to play offense, maybe in an emergency situation. He can play some defense, but it does look like he's finally going to make this season's debut. Vaki, who's 24, talked to Jeremy Risman of Prime Detroit, said he's, the hamstring injury is the thing of the past. He's fully healed in his anticipation of it and is looking forward to get on the field. What the Lions are going to do with him, that is the million-dollar question because nobody knows. We haven't seen him this year. He hasn't even really done much in the preseason. But as we also know, during the preseason when he was healthy, we got a lot of different reports from reporters who were watching saying both him and Gibbs were being used in the same backfield, basically a slot receiver. That could be the case. We've also seen so far this season some of that with Gibbs. We've also seen where Gibbs gets motioned out and St. Brown got brought into the backfield to be a running back. We have seen St. Brown in college, for those who didn't know, at USC. He did that a whole lot in his rookie year with the Detroit Lions. He did that a wee bit. You're starting to see it again this year. We know this. The Lions are going to use this to their advantage wherever he's on the field. If it's on offense, they're going to try to take advantage of whoever the defense is assigning to him. If it's man coverage, even if it's zone, they're going to figure it out and try to use their advantage. He gives them a lot of flexibility, and that flexibility will be seen on Monday night, potentially. All right, everything John Harbaugh said about Detroit Lions on SI, story by John Macron. Macron took a little bit of time to talk about with the Baltimore Ravens, talk to Harbaugh and different aspects of the Baltimore media about their thoughts of this game. I'm going to paraphrase, otherwise we'd be here for 2 hours. Harbaugh talks about all the different similarities between these two units, these two squads, and I agree. There's a whole lot of them. You look at the commitment to the offensive line, the defensive line, the running backs, the wide receivers, the linebacker strengths. Really the only big difference I see is the quarterback position, and it's not even that massive. Lamar can, easily outrun Jared Goff. He could probably play duck, duck, goose with Jared Goff and never lose. But that also being said, Lamar's passing attack isn't that far off of Jared Goff's anymore. I think, go back 2 or 3 years ago, it was probably his Achilles heel. He had moments where he looked pretty good. Other moments he didn't look, we'll just say, as accurate. That's no longer the case as he's become incredibly accurate. But watching these two guys, the one thing I did notice on tape, Jared Goff, we've known it as Detroit Lions fans, I'd say at least the last 3 years, pressure no longer really gets to him as much. Some of what got J.G. ran out of the Rams is at times he would make some real boneheaded decisions with pressure. And you maybe saw that a little bit his freshman year with the Detroit Lions or first year with the Detroit Lions, maybe to a certain degree even the second year. But for the most part, he doesn't do those odd plays anymore. He's kind of evolved out of it. Maybe it's the protection. Maybe it's the schemes. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know what it is. But Jared Goff's grown up, and he's now a veteran quarterback that stuff doesn't seem to have hit. Lamar still struggles with that at times, and I'd say that's basically the biggest difference. As far as Harbaugh, he goes on length about talking about both teams, gives a lot of praise to MCDC, gives a lot of praise to the Detroit Lions, views them as a real threat, and I think that's one thing you hear from all the Baltimore players as well. While the general media overall seems to think this is going to be a massive win for Baltimore, they're going to dominate everything, apparently the Baltimore Ravens didn't get those memos because they do believe they're in for a battle throughout this game, and I would agree. I think this game is going to be far more competitive than anybody else in the national media. Some stuff for you real quick. Let me bring on the screen. I know, you guys know I don't bet, but some of you guys do. You can see the odds and everything depending on where you're looking. I've seen it be a 6.5 point Baltimore's favor to win. I've seen Detroit down to 4.5. What it's going to be, I don't know, but I do think the national media, when you look at ESPN and a lot of the other stuff, they do seem to all favor the Lions losing this game, 90% of them. I get it. Baltimore's at home. I get it. John Harbaugh talks about, man, they're going to be in for a big battle here. That's some coach speak right there. I think everybody gets it. Very, very few coaches come out and just say, we're going to open up a can of whoop butt on somebody and beat them down. Harbaugh, I think he sees the Lions as a real threat. And I think if you ask most teams and coaches across the NFL, they would see that. While we can have some questions that remain unanswered about the Detroit Lions defense, the offense isn't a question. If the offensive line blocks like they did against the Bears, this offense can chew up any defense in the NFL. Seems like John Harbaugh agrees. All right, Detroit Lions options for pass rushers signings are dwindling rapidly. Fan side story by Javon Alford. He ain't wrong. If you think the Lions need to go out and get somebody else without trading for him, you know what? There ain't a whole lot out there. But here are a list of a few different people. Let's see what you guys have to say. Shaq Barrett, DeMarcus Walker. I wouldn't mind that one, actually. Barrett to a certain degree, too. Jerry Hughes, Carl Lawson are some of the bigger names on the list. And there are other people for sure. These are probably the biggest names out there. Some of you guys have mentioned Lawson in the past, who's also played in a 4-3 defensive scheme when he was with Dallas. So it makes some sense there. Walker, he was a full-time starter last year for Chicago. He didn't get a bunch of sacks. He did get just, I want to say, 3.5 sacks or something like that, but still made his presence felt on the defensive side of the ball. There are some other options out there. It does sound like everybody knows Dan Campbell and the coaches just don't seem to have the same level of belief that they need to add somebody that a lot of the Lions fan base does. We talked about that a little bit yesterday in the show and maybe even the day before it, so I don't really want to go into it a ton. What are your thoughts, though? Do any of these guys, intrigue you for the Lions to bring in? Jerry Hughes, for those who don't remember when he was with the Buffalo Bills, I really liked him. I thought he was very underrated. I think Father Time has kind of taken some stuff away from him. Same with Shaq Barrett. Well, you guys remember Tom Brady, the Bucs, when he had that monster season with them, helped them get to the Super Bowl and win it. He had that season after that. I don't think he's been quite the same. Whether it's because of injuries, whether it's this, that, and the other thing, I don't know. Lions seem to want younger guys that they can develop in it until something is proven otherwise. I don't really think the Lions are going to add any of these guys unless they get decimated on the defensive line. But if you think they should, let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you would be so kind. Dan Campbell gives a sneak peek of the Lions' game plan to stop Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and there are levels to it. A to Z Sports, Mike Payton with this one. It can be true that a coach gives away some stuff. It can also be true that, people interpret it however they want to interpret it. What I will say about this is, the Lions, hey, for those who don't know, let me pull this off the screen just so you can see it. So when it comes to your DVOA rankings, your defensive volume on average rankings, Packers are first currently in the NFL. Lions are 12th, Vikings 18th, Bears are 32nd. I think after last weekend's game, nobody should be surprised the Bears defense isn't ranked very high. The Ravens are 14th. So while we're going into this game saying, man, oh man, this is going to be a defensive battle, the Ravens defense, I'm not trying to disrespect them. I think they do have some real talent in certain areas of the defense, but they're also not as good at stopping the run. And we'll dive into this in the main topic today, even ask Professor Steele about it a little bit. Watching, there are 2 games this year, and I even would try to go a step further and watch some of the preseason stuff, although I wouldn't put a lot of validity in preseason stuff. I think the Lions defense looks at this point a lot firmer. And I think even against Green Bay, the first quarter was terrible, miscommunications, whatever. After that, I think they actually played pretty well. When talking to Dan Campbell, reporters and such at the press conference yesterday, he did give some thoughts about what he thinks the Lions are going to do, or what, he didn't want to go into X's and O's, obviously, but they're going to more than likely, per his thoughts and how you want to interpret it, they're going to have 7 guys crowd the box 90% of the time. They're going to do that for 2 different reasons. One, they want to stop the running attack on the ground. The other part is they want to limit Jackson's abilities. We've also talked about in recent episodes of this show, I don't think on first and second down you're going to see all season unless it's, first and 40, second and 90, the Lions really tee off and go after the quarterback or running back. They want to play cone defense. They want to put that horseshoe up, and we've talked about it for a few years with this defense. It's just how the coaching staff views it. We can all say, man, Zadarius Smith should have been here. We should have traded for this guy, that guy, and everything. I think more and more evidence is out there. The Lions don't want those guys because, one, the cost to get them. Two, it's more important, the defense scheme, they don't fit it. If your primary ability as a defensive end is to get to the quarterback, you're only going to be doing that on third down. And I would say MCDC talks about, basically overcrowding the box. He doesn't go into the X and O's. It's just my anticipation they're going to keep 7 guys in there a whole lot and play single coverage across the board on first and second down to force third and long downs. You saw this against Green Bay. And to be fair, outside of some miscommunications in the first quarter, it was pretty effective. You saw it against Chicago. And while, yes, Chicago in the first half scored 2 touchdowns and everything, I'll say this for Chicago. Their Ben Johnson scripts very well. You saw it in both games with the Bears. And after that, Caleb Williams just isn't as great at doing that stuff. What Lamar Jackson can do, that's going to be the million-dollar question because he can improvise. But I do think MCDC, what little information he gave on this, I think it's pretty spot on. You can't take away everything from Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. They're just too dang good. But you can try to take away a percentage of it and make them have to repeat the process over and over and matriculate their way down the field. I think it's going to be real interesting to see the fans, let alone MCDC, Kelvin Shep, what they want to do. If the Ravens start having some success in getting 3-4 yards every carry or every attempt, passing or on the ground, you're going to put them in a bad spot. You're going to put any defense in a bad spot. And I do think a majority of our fan base is going to say, man, you need a blitz, you need to do this, that, and everything. And then Jackson takes off for a 90-yard gain or, whatever it may be. You can only limit a team so much. If they got talent, and the Ravens got a lot of talent, you got to pick your poisons. It seems like MCDC's picked his poison already, which he's going to allow and not allow. Or at least try not to. All right, last of 5 glorious headlines now. Detroit Lions at Baltimore Ravens. Predictions, picks, and odds for NFL Week 3 game. USA Today, Blake Schuster with this one. And Gesundheit. By the way, all right, so you guys get it. Just about everybody on the world is not picking the Detroit Lions to win this game. In fact, we're going to start off, unfortunately, with the Christian Romeo of the Detroit Free Press. He's got the Lions, unfortunately, not winning this game. Man, talk about being a homer and a Debbie Downer. Ravens 38, Lions 27. And this was shared not to the same exact score throughout much of the Detroit media fan base, but they did basically all have Baltimore winning this game. When going to USA Today and multiple different reporters here, Jordan Mendoza is going to take actually the Lions and the points. Although at the time he posted this, the Lions line was 5.5. So Baltimore favored to win by basically 6 points. All right, John Hoflinger takes the Baltimore Ravens, also with the points. Tyler Dragon also takes the Ravens. Christian Burkaga. Boy, I'm going to probably regret that one. He's picking the Lions. Blake Schuster picks the Baltimore Ravens. Lorenzo Reigns takes the Detroit Lions. So as you guys can see, even with ESPN or, what's the one? NFL Network, when they put out those videos, hey, here's the game preview. Everybody for the game preview cast picked Baltimore Ravens other than one guy. So 9 people picked the Ravens. One guy picked Detroit. Detroit's got an uphill battle. But you know what? I think this is actually helpful for the Lions. I think the Lions, the vast majority of the players, do well with chips on their shoulders when they feel like they're slated or overlooked. We all know the story with St. Brown and probably go through 50 other different Detroit Lions players. So what are your thoughts right now, Duke Crew? Throw it in the comment section. Who do you got winning this game? Give me your score predictions. You've heard Dan O'Damas. You've heard the cast from USA Today. You've heard basically what all the Detroit media is saying. Let me know your thoughts now, if you would, please. All right, all that said out of the way, let's go ahead and get over to the main topic of the day and break this game down a little bit more before Professor Steele joins us. All right, I'm going to go advantage, disadvantage, and we're going to make this fairly quick so we can get to the comment section a little bit before Professor Steele gets here. Quarterback, I'm going to say it's a slight advantage for the Baltimore Ravens, and it's just because I think Jared Goff has become perhaps the NFL's most accurate quarterback out there. And we've talked about it ad nauseum in recent years. Every time a quarterback gets a little bit older and older, it's hard to catch them off guard with things. I mean, my goodness, look at the Cleveland Browns and Joe Flacco. He's out there on one leg, half an arm, playing quarterback. He's still pretty effective because he's played in this league for 4,000 years. I mean, he might as well be a coach. But he can still get some things done, even though body, age and everything has kind of robbed him a little bit. Jared Goff, though, he is not beat up. He is not injured. He is playing with 2 arms and 2 legs, in fact. And he is the NFL's standard when it comes to accuracy out of the quarterback position, throwing guys open. So I think he's doing a very good job, but just because the dual facet you have in Lamar, I'm going to give the Baltimore Ravens a slight edge. Running backs, I'm going to give it a push. I do think ultimately we have more athleticism when it comes to just raw score times and speed over the Baltimore Ravens. But let's face it, man, Derrick Henry, I don't even know his age, but it doesn't matter. If you don't get to him early, he's going to pound some people in that secondary. The nice thing for the Detroit Lions is we do have some bigger linebackers by today's NFL standards. I mean, Jack Campbell could play back in the 60s and the 50s because back then, just about every linebacker was massively big compared to most of the other positions, and Campbell is that guy out there. Brian Branch also gives you a lot of flexibility, but I think you guys get it. All right, now let's go to wide receivers. Again, you're splitting hairs on this, but I just think overall the Lions wide receivers are better. It's no disrespect to the Baltimore Ravens. They've got some speed. Hopkins, man, he never had speed, so him getting into his 30s doesn't really affect him. His game is built off his skills, his ability to go locate the ball and go get the ball, his hands, and his ability to bring his hands to the ball. What I can also say is the Lions, Jameson Williams, kind of unknown. We see that when he catches it, he's gone. The Ravens have some speed there. I think Jamo's slightly bigger, slightly faster. You guys get it, an advantage there. The big mystery question mark could be Isaac TeSlaa. If we've seen him in bits in the first 2 games, this is the game he comes out a little bit more. Maybe because we want to get the running game going a little bit more. He could be a game changer, and because of that, I'm going to give them a little bit of a push. Tight ends, I'll give the Ravens a slight advantage, but you can see so far in offense, there's no big advantage for one team or the other. It is slight advantages. Ravens have, some good tight end play. Lions have some good tight end play. I think it's a slight advantage for Baltimore. Offensive line, this is where it changes a little bit. It comes down to which Detroit Lions line do you see? Week 1, Green Bay. Week 2, Bears. Because at least in my view, and I don't work for Pro Football Focus, I think when I looked at their scores, I was like, man, you guys just two people can view the same artwork and see something different. I would just say that I thought the Lions offensive line week 2 played far better than their scores. Ravens, they've got a more veteran line. I think the Lions line is more athletic, more mobile, and their run blocking looked better, at least last week when I watched it, so I'm going to give a slight advantage to the Lions. Defensive line, it's tough because so much of what I see on tape comes down to how do you interpret what the coaches are asking the guys to do. It's easy when you just say coaches are going to let it rip, go after the quarterback, hit the running back on your way to the quarterback, because then you just see raw athleticism producing. When you watch the Lions line, though, that's not what the coaches are asking, at least the way I view that game tape. And again, this is from seasons of totality, not just 2 games. But watching it all, I think the Lions' defensive line is far better than most of us really give it credit for. But because we don't just let them rip and go after the quarterback, we go, man, they're not getting any pressure. The pocket isn't collapsing. It's not what they're being asked to do. So I'm going to give the Lions a slight edge there. And I know there'll be some people that watch this video live or later on today say I'm a homer. It's just my opinion based on what I'm anticipating the coaching staff's asking him to do. The Ravens have a very good line, but I think you can get God on it. I think you can win leverage, especially in the A and B gaps on them. That's where I think the running game could show up a little bit in advantage for Lions if that holds water. Linebackers, Lions get a big advantage in this one because it does seem like Kyle Van Noy, the former Lion, is going to not play this game. If he is, he's going to be limited at best, I think would be the situation there because of his hamstring injury. So Lions have a big advantage, my thoughts, in the ability to stop the run and cover with Alex Anzalone out of there. Also, just throwing in there, Derek Barnes, I do think, and I kind of talked about this in the preseason, the Lions are going to be using him on obvious passing downs as a defensive end. That's held up, and I think his win rate hasn't been great, but you could see where he's forcing a different change of pace, kind of like a curveball, I guess you could say, over some of the other defensive ends. Secondary, I think the Lions have an advantage here. And I think if you look at the Baltimore Ravens, I talk about all the time on the show, I think the Lions are blessed to have the best safety combo in the NFL. Ravens aren't far off when it comes to their safeties. So you're splitting hairs at the safety position. The cornerback position is not a split in my mind. If I had to do a scale of 1-10, let's just say I gave the Lions a 9 at the cornerback spot. Ravens would be about a 7, 7.5. So there's not a massive difference, but there is a difference. The big difference to me is how their cornerbacks play against the run and our cornerbacks play against the run. Our cornerbacks come up and set the edge a lot. If you watched the live show last Sunday, I kind of gave a lot of flack towards our linebackers overcommitting, giving up some outside edge lanes for running plays, etc. for the Bears, and they took advantage of it. Now, a lot of that stuff gets cleaned up the further the season goes along. So maybe the Ravens will clean some of this up even more, but at least as of right now, watching 2 games of theirs, I don't think they play the run, and I don't think they're as physical as the Lions cornerbacks. Kicking game, I'm just going to say it's a split. I didn't really watch it a ton. I don't have all the time in the world. Same with the punting department, although I would say the Lions have an advantage in the punting game. Punt and kick returns, I didn't really break those down, so I'm being as transparent as I can be. You guys may have thoughts on it. It probably would supersede mine. All right, there you go. I gave you my game breakdowns. I do think the Lions are going to rally probably from about a 14-point deficit late in the third to come back and win in the last 2 minutes of the game. So we'll go with that. All right, let me scroll to the top of the screen and try to get in as many of you guys as I can before Professor Steele joins us. There are no special guests for either Saturday or Sunday, so it will just be Duke Crew commentary on those shows. All right, Michael D, greetings, salutations, Coach Dan and Duke Crew, exclamation point, one pride, woo, back at you. Good to see you, Michael, as always. JDC, morning all, morning JDC. Bo Booth, good morning, Duke Crew, time to shine, exclamation point, woo, I like the way you're thinking. Henry Moore, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew. What a team. What a podcast. What time to be a Lions fan. Woo! Hey, good to see you, Henry. John King, good morning, Coach and crew. I think this will be a good test to see who we are. I think we win. We better than the Bills. I'll go with that. Bills, Ravens, Lions, Packers. There's probably a couple other teams I'm not thinking off the top of my head. You could probably say in the NFL this year, way too early, but there seems to be 4 to 8 elite teams and a bunch of other teams, chasing, nipping at your heels. I would say the Lions, Bills, Ravens are in the elite 8. How about that? JDC, Dre Forbes rocks, and he rolls. David, this would be a good matchup for us. I see some even think it could be a Super Bowl preview. Chance to prove ourselves 100%. And we all get it. Last time we played at Baltimore and played the Ravens, we got pounded. We got pounded horribly. But I'd also say you look at our defense then versus now, how much of it has changed. And I think quite a lot, especially in the secondary. Big Eddie, I want to see how much the D and O lines show up. Can't win in the playoffs if we don't improve there. I agree. Johnny L, good morning, folks. Back at you. Jess, greetings, salutations. Dooku, Shep, and the D have a bad matchup for us. Balt's running game and Lamar are going to give us issues. For everyone, Lamar Jackson has taken his game to a new level. I agree with that. I think he's showing a lot of maturity out there. Just say, Kay, good morning, Duke Crew. Can't sleep today, so I'm making a live show. Well, congrats on making the show. What will the Ravens do to try and slow us? I think they're going to bring heat. I think they're going to say, hey, they're going to leave their secondary for the most part in single coverage, maybe some sort of pseudo zone, but they're going to probably bring 5-6 guys, try to get to Jared Goff on the way. They might even hit a running back or two if they're running. France, Hutch talked about Deadport. Didn't sound like Aiden was planning on Marcus playing Monday. It did seem like that in an interview he had. Who knows, man? We'll know more later today for sure. Campbell did talk about it that, they would have more confirmation from doctors whether or not he'd be able to go or not, and would reveal that today, Friday. Johnny, we will win the game. Book it, Daniel. I like the way you're thinking. JDC, Magic 8 Ball says defense wins the big one. I concur. Jess, home field is worth 3 points, they say, so our D has to come up with at least one takeaway. All 3 phases of the game have to be won by our boys. Yeah, that's good coaching thinking right there. If you can win all 3 phases, you got a good shot. Michael D, if we can control both sides of scrimmage and time possession, we will win, exclamation point. Johnny L, we got this. I'm telling you right now, we got this one. I like the way you're thinking. You get this one, then you get Cleveland, then you get Cincinnati, and you go on a winning streak there. 5 fingers ready. I doubt Danforth misses any games, if even this one. He's now listed as a chest issue. I did see that. So it went from an elbow to a shoulder to chest. Today he'll move to his legs. Hey, it's good that he's keeping it moving around. All right, guys, it's about that time to bring forth our special guest of the day. Let's not dilly-dally. Let's dally-dilly. And let's get over to the hitman, Professor Kurt Steele. Kurt, there is a rumor going around that you are bossing up and balling out this morning. How you doing, man?
Well, of course I'm bossing up and balling out, man. Good morning, everyone, man. Hello, Duke crew. What's going on? And what up, dude? What's going on? Let's get into it, man. What do you want to talk about?
Let's get into it. Hey, we get it. This is probably the marquee matchup for week 3. If not, it's one of the better matchups out. We can at least say that. When you look at this, what do you think, for both teams, what's on the line from a win and loss? How much does it impact you one way or the other?
Yeah, man, it's the third game of the year, man. It's win or lose. It's still too many more games to go. It is a good measuring stick for both teams. You got, division winners from last season, of course. So, number 1 seed from the NFC that the Ravens are facing, and one of the top teams in the AFC, the Lions are facing. So, it's a good measuring stick for both teams.
If you were to break it down, where do you think the Lions have some advantages for this matchup?
Ooh, we don't want to dip too far into what I got going on at 8 o'clock, but
Okay.
The Lions, if the Lions can use the formula from last week, as far as you're passing to run instead of running to pass, not saying that you can't do both, but I think that the advantage against the Ravens is passing first, running second.
You look at Lamar Jackson, there are a lot of people saying he's just on another level this year. And this young man just keeps evolving, keeps progressing. When you watch him, what do your eyes see? How difficult is it going to be to limit him at all?
Man, it is so difficult to play against that guy, just because of the fact of what he brings to the table, with his legs and his arm, being a more accurate passer than he's been in his career. He still has this escapability. He slimmed back. Remember, he bulked up a couple years ago. Now he's slimmed back down to, kind of help that with his escapability. However, he's not fallible. And their line is acceptable. He's been sacked a few times in both games this year. So, and you can get at him as long as you can contain the boundaries as far as setting the edge. It's going to be key for those Lions defensive ends and linebackers to set that edge, and of course bringing in some of those guys down from the secondary to do the same thing. But he can be had. You just have to play 11-on-11 football with the Ravens. You have to account for that guy the whole time. You just can't do it. I mean, like, you just can't, rest on your laurels with him in the backfield. So you have to play 11-on-11 football, bring an extra guy down in the box just to account for him, because he is just one of those guys that he makes you account for him, because if you don't, he will rip you apart like he did the Lions the last time he played them in 2023.
You're not wrong. Davenport, I get it. We're all waiting to find out what happens today. It's gone from an ankle injury to an elbow injury to a shoulder injury to now it's a chest injury. Do you think they're just playing possum, or do you think there's a legitimate injury with Davenport?
No, I think he's fine. I think that there's kind of like, they're giving him the vet rest. They want to have longevity with this guy, so they're going to rest him as much as they can. So if he has any of an inkling of anything being wrong with him, hey, sit down for a little bit. We'll bring you. We'll play, just because they want to make sure that they can have him for the longer bit of the season. I think the Lions are going to do some stuff with some of their veterans this year, where they are resting them, like you see what they're doing with Taylor Decker. They kind of that Calvin Johnson treatment, like, okay, you sit out the whole week, you go through the walkthrough on the last day, and then you play in the game. I mean, that's kind of what it is going to be. Jack Campbell was down with the ankle. He'll probably be back today or tomorrow with in limited capacity to get ready to play on Monday Night Football. It's just one of those things where they're being extra cautious with their veterans when it comes to injuries right now.
You think because of last year, maybe felt like they had to revise some practices, what they do during the practices to just try to get some of these guys a little more rest?
Yeah, I believe so. Just because of the fact that you want to make sure that you have those guys for longer than, for the longer period and longevity throughout the season. So even if Davenport sits this game, it may be just a rest thing, but they keep saying, by the end of the week. I think they're kind of pushing it down where they're letting them rest, letting them, get some things, straight. But I don't even know if he misses this game. He might play this game. I mean, right. Because they're kind of coy about it too. Like, we'll know more by the end of the week. Dude, it's Friday. Like yesterday was Thursday. That's the end of the week for me all day. So, but I just think that they're gonna, just be cautious with them. And my thing is, Davenport's played well this year when he's in the lineup. So he had a sack last game, some pressures, and then even coming behind him is AQM, and he's having a really good season as well. So calm down, people. It's gonna be all right.
I mean, to your point, Muhammad has, in fact, here, I'll bring this up on the screen. Yeah, there we go. The fact that, I know I showed this yesterday, but Muhammad is fifth in the NFL at pressure rate. Who would have guessed that, right? But let's talk about the defensive end spot, because I know we've talked about it ad nauseum in the offseason. Every fan wants the Lions to draft somebody, trade for somebody, sign somebody. Do you think the Lions coaching staff just isn't worried about it because their schemes are saying, hey, we need guys that do A, not B? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they have the guys that they want in the building. I mean, and they have the tweener guys that a lot of those guys like Pat O'Connor and Mekhi Wingo. Trey Wingo's the announcer. Mekhi Wingo. Right. Those guys can play both the interior and on the edge. So, and then you look at that. So, and then you have a lot of stunts and twists that you can do with those guys where you can start them on the inside, and next thing you know, they're on the edge. So you have a scheme where you can use multiple players. They like guys who can do multiple things. They don't like one-trick ponies in Detroit. So they want guys who can do multiple things. You can line Hutch up in the inside. You can line them up on the outside. Same with AQM. Same with Davenport. All these guys can play either in the end, or they can play in the interior. So, yeah, that's why they don't look at some of the smaller guys, because they want guys who can do both. So they like the tweener guys. So they got who they want on the team. So.
Do you think at any point, during the season, when Aleem the Dream McNeil gets back, that you go with McNeil, Reeder, Williams, Hutch as their starting defensive line?
It's possible. It is. Man, that would be a hell of a defensive line, because we all know that that McNeil has kind of trimmed down. You know what I'm saying? And he even trimmed down more doing his recovery from the ACL injury. So, I mean, you have a lot of guys that have these skill sets to rush the passer and set the edge. So, it's going to make the Lions defensive line more dangerous. I mean, you're hearing about McNeil saying that if he needed to play on Monday, the next game, he could do that. He's that close to coming back. So I'm looking at this like, man, it never hurts to get a guy back who's one of the best defensive tackles in the league. So
he's going to bring a whole lot to the table. We'll have to see how they set that table with him, I guess. All right, Vaki, it does sound like he will be back this game. We've been waiting for a year and a half to see what this kid can really do. He's had a couple opportunities last year, not much. What do you think he could potentially bring to the Lions offense?
Nothing right now.
All right, Debbie Downer here. All right.
I mean, now don't get me wrong. I like Vaki. He's a great special teams player. He is. But is he really going to crack the lineup? Is he really going to knock Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery or hell, even Craig Reynolds out of the lineup? No, he's just not. Hell, even right now, he got to get past Sailors right now, because it just is what it is. I mean, I like Vaki, but is he bringing something that's substantial to the offense that no one else can? Not right now.
So you're saying the freight train of momentum from the Lions fan base about a young upstart offensive player is solely on Tesla. So Tesla, what do you think he does this game? Do you think he finally gets more reps or not?
Bold prediction for me on Wednesday show on the Boston Ball Out podcast. I said 4 catches and a touchdown for the young fella.
All right. I'd like him, and especially the running game blocking. You know, it's nothing against, Raymond. Everybody loves Raymond after all. It's just, his size isn't Tesla's. His strength and power isn't Tesla's. So from that perspective, I think he does bring a little bit more. All right. If you had a Scooby-Doo it, Dan Campbell talked a little bit about what the Lions may try to do on defense to limit the rushing attack and, the quarterback play of Lamar Jackson. What do you think ultimately, if you had to put it on your coaching cap and go to the dry erase board, what are you doing to try to slow this Ravens offense, which has been high-powered in 2 games?
Okay, so you have to pay attention to 3 guys. 3 guys in particular that you have to pay attention to. 1, of course, Lamar Jackson. You have to compress the pocket. Don't let him out, contain the edge. Run game, you have to pay attention to Derrick Henry. Of course, you cannot, he's just so big, you just can't not pay attention to that guy. They have 1 wide receiver that's over 100 yards, and he has almost 3, and that's Zay Flowers. You have to play someone speedy and who's able to hang with him down the field. And my thing with that will be DJ Reed. He's one of our fastest corners. People get some of his age, but he's one of the fastest corners that we have. It may be a game where you have to, and I'll talk about this a little bit later on my show, have to make some personnel adjustments to make sure that you have that matchup between DJ Reed and Zay Flowers. He's played with against Zay Flowers in the past, so that's one guy that I would say, hey, that's your guy. You have him. You stick with him all game.
Lions brought in Cunningham. I know Campbell talked about it. Wasn't just to be a practice squad, posing offense quarterback. They did talk a little bit about actually using him as a wide receiver. Do you think that's actual, or do you think they brought him in because he played for the Ravens, knows the Ravens, and he can be a mobile quarterback?
All of the above. All of the above. I think they brought him in. It's just smart coaching to bring a guy in who's been in the system at the Ravens. He's available, and you got a guy who can not say mirror what he does, because no one can do what Lamar Jackson does. The closest guy is probably Josh Allen, and they're two different players because Allen is so big and he's so physical. But you look at that, what he can do. He can give some insight. Now, of course, they've changed some things because the NFL teams change things constantly because of the fact that the rosters are overturned so much, especially in that middle part of your roster. So they can get an idea of what could be to come with Lamar Jackson. But it's just one thing, man. You look at it where they can use him and kind of get some insights and use him, because you look at, he played in the same system at Louisville, a similar system. And it's just one of those things where it's just smart coaching, what I'm saying? You bring a guy in that can do a lot of things. So, and I mean, he's a talented player. So, you want to have a guy with all those skill sets on your team. So even if it's just on the practice squad for now, I don't see him supplanting anyone in the wide receiver room right now. So
that room's pretty dang loaded. All right. Last thing for you. And I know you got to get ready for your show here in 14 minutes or 15 minutes. Lions, going into this game, the world is picking the Ravens to win. I get it, the home team, so usually they get favorites because of it. But for the Lions, coaching staff, players, the fan base, what do the Lions need to get done this week in order to get everybody to go, okay, we're going in the right direction still?
Play your game. Be who you are. Be a tough physical team. Don't let the Ravens push you around, even though, you're at their house on Monday Night Football. One thing I will say this, Jared Goff is very good in primetime games. He is one of the best guys when the lights come on at night. Now, people say, well, what about the playoffs? I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night.
Right.
Is Jared Goff shines pretty much. And I'm going to give you the formula because the formula was given in week 1 by the Bills on how to attack the Ravens defense. And I'm going to give you that at 8 o'clock. So make sure you tune in to the Boss Up Ball Out podcast.
We'll check that out. I got one last question just because it just popped to me. You look at Jared Goff when he came over from the from JG, when he came over from the Rams. Why do you think they gave up on him so quickly, I guess? And then how much, in your opinion, has he stayed the same, gotten worse, or improved since he's been a Detroit Lion?
And I can't really put my finger on it because I have a friend of mine who's a huge Rams guy. He's a Rams podcaster, my man Joe from Rams Showcase. A lot of the Rams fan base were kind of upset that they had moved on from Jared Goff. I mean, he's a tough kid. He did so much for that franchise. He took him to a Super Bowl. He just couldn't win the big one. But you look at the Rams since Stafford got there, they haven't done a lot after the Super Bowl. So they went all in for that 1 year. I think Jared Goff got tossed because he may have some kind of conflict with Sean McVay. McVay is a control freak, and it's just one of those things where it was maybe something that was just something minute or something where it was just a personality conflict between him and Jared Goff. But whatever it was, man, I thank them for it because I like what JG is doing in Detroit.
Yeah, me too, man. And before you got on there, I talked a little bit about it, just saying, with the Rams, you could see every once in a while he'd have like a moment where he just kind of lose himself and make some boneheaded play. Maybe even the first year and a half with Detroit where he would do kind of the same thing, but he doesn't seem to do that anymore. It really feels like he's evolved, matured as a person and a player. And now, I mean, he's never going to outrun you, me, or anybody watching the show, but he doesn't have to because he is deadly accurate. So, all right, why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody where they can find you, your great content, and how they can help support you in the Boss Up Ball Out community.
All right, man, you can check me out on the Boss Up Ball Out podcast YouTube channel, man. We got a show here. We're going live at 8 a.m. May have a couple guest men, so make sure you come check it out. We're going to talk about how the Lions can pull the upset on Monday Night Football. And, of course, you can check me out over at Sideliner Sports. Man, it's SIDELINR Sports. So Google that. I'm a contributing writer over there, so go check out some of my content, man. One day I can make 5 headlines now.
Could be tomorrow morning show. All right.
All right, guys.
All right. Thank you, as always, Kurt Steele, the professor's in the house, dropping wisdom and knowledge. Go check them out at 8 o'clock, and thank you for making a little time out of your day to hang out with the Dew Crew.
Thanks for having me on, Dan. As usual, it's always a pleasure, man. And Dew Crew, we're going to see you at 8 a.m., man, so make sure you come check us out.
All right. We'll see you there, my friend. All right, let's get back to the Dew Crew comments section. Till then, Brad, MCDC, and Damport are just sitting back laughing at the same old Lions fans. That could be accurate. Mary, my Lions Talk live family is the best. Thank you all for the help. I'm going to get a St. Brown t-shirt and J-Mo jersey for Christmas. Love y'all, and we love you too. Glad you were able to get that stuff. Okay, Johnny L., have yourself a grit-filled day. That sounds like a great day every day. Gary, I like your call, Don. I'll go with that. Thomas, guys, I'm done with Damport. If he plays, he plays. Exclamation point. If not, so what? Exclamation point. Not counting on him at all. Fair enough. Joseph, Damport's contract reflects his injury history. Man, you ain't wrong there. If he doesn't play, if he doesn't practice even, he doesn't get paid anything, for the most part. Mary, Professor Steele, good morning. Great day. Till then, right on, bro. These same old Lions fans are pure comedy. JDC, DM5 TV. Yep, exactly. Exclamation point. I hate it when the Lions become aloof. All right. Let's see. Till then, Damport is divisive. He is. Brett is laughing. DM5, hope Davin Glass plays and makes the key sack on Lamar to win the game. Hey, wouldn't that be something? Maybe he drops a big elbow when the refs aren't looking. Until the Hun, when Aline comes back, he makes everyone better on the defensive line, especially Hutch and DJ. I would agree with that. And again, I can only tell you guys what I would do. It is going to take, when Aline the Dream returns, it is going to take a couple weeks, maybe a month for him to really get in game shape. But when he hits that, I would put him at the big defensive end. I think Tyleek has played very well. I think DJ, you can't really play him at end. He's got to play the DTI, and then Hutch is Hutch. man, I just think you cause a lot of problems there. That's just my opinion, though, of course. And then you can rotate in Davenport and Mo and everybody else. Bo, performance with the press doesn't mean a thing on the field. I'll go with that. I'm going to do Pierce. So tell me what your thoughts are on Davenport. Thomas, if Captain Jack is not 100% because of his ankle, he better not play. No one healthy can keep up with Lamar on the field, much less full strength. Well, we'll see what they do. He did have it last week where he sat a day because of the ankle and then played, and I thought he played okay, not great, but, okay. Joseph, Kerry, I told you I was biting my tongue on the whole Davenport and Z thing. Well, you did. Hopefully you didn't bite it too hard. Bo, Aleem at Big Edge. I would do that with an exclamation point. Bruno, Coach, Lions Talk Live is the number one as far as I'm concerned in Baymont, Texas. Hey, I know where that is, actually. And, hey, glad you like it. And thanks for the kind words. DM5, Vaki stinks. We'll find out. Maybe you can give him a shower, man. Maybe get him some of that. What do you got? He's calling that. The guy in the commercial. Never mind. Let's see. Old Spice commercial. Clean him up a little bit. Hookadoo. Carrie, we on the same page with the Davenport Z missed opportunity! Exclamation point. Pierce, don't you mean Davenport definitely injured? We'll see. Gary, my screen cut out. Well, hopefully it cuts back in. Tug Speeman, this is the biggest game for MCDC to date. With a win Monday, puts all of the naysayers on their place. Yeah, you win here. A lot of people are going to keep looking at the Green Bay game and say, yeah, it was just opening day type stuff. Thomas, when Big Mac comes back, give him at minimum 3 games to get really effective. Exclamation point. Don't hammer him if not totally effective. Yeah, I think they'll probably take their time easing him into it. I've been wrong before, though. Mary Smith can bring a woo for Coach and Lions Talk Live this morning. Woo! Hey, we'll right back at you there, Mary. Hookadoo. Yep, him, Pierce. JDC. Woo! Everybody's wooing up now. Dumber, I never look ahead too much, but if we can / will beat the Ravens, our next game are against QBs Flacco, Browns, Jake Browning, Cincy, and KC, team that doesn't scare me. KC, yeah, they've had some unfortunate stuff go against them the first 2 games. We'll see if they can right the ship. I will throw this at you, and I haven't watched a ton on him yet, but since he's backup quarterback, I don't think he's too bad. He might actually be fairly decent. The Browns, though, as long as you don't mess up against that defense, because the defense is legit, the offense really doesn't bother me too much. Joseph, again, Davenport's contract is nothing in NFL terms, and when he plays, he's pretty good. He just doesn't get it. There you go. Thomas Vaki, until really given a chance, which until now, he's been no needed. We will know what we have in him. Yeah, only the coaches really have an idea what they have in him. Pierce, it's when he plays, you can't bank on 10 games for Davenport. Okay. Thomas, there's been no need for Vaki as a running back at this point. Pierce, the stats don't bear that out. All right, we'll try to bear down on him. DM5, make Vaki a linebacker. See if they can. Domber, Vaki, and Rakestraw look like 2 picks that probably won't reach their potential, and that's okay. No GM bats 100. There you go. I agree with that 100%. Thomas, I said at the beginning of the year, Davenport at most will play 12 games. Let's pray he does. Yeah, if we get 12 games out of him, I'd say for that contract, you did pretty well. Pierce, Thomas, you have more faith than me. We'll see. Pierce, I bet 9 to 10. I would still take that, though, Pierce. Because you're paying them peanuts. So, that's not bad. Tella, like to see Grant Stewart destroy Lamar this game at linebacker. All right, we'll see if they put Lamar at linebacker. Attila, 12-14. Hookadoo, that's the problem with Davenport. We depend on him to play, but you depend on him to play. All right, but can you depend on him to play? We'll find out. AQM with 2 sacks this game. I like the way you're thinking, says DM5. Pierce, you can't! Exclamation point. Courtney, don't we owe the Ravens a 67-yard field goal to win a game? Yeah, if we could do that in their home field and bounce it off the upright and in, wouldn't that be history repeating itself? Mary, don't forget about Roy Lopez. We'll not forget about him. DM5 is questioning that. Bo, Mary, it's all about the rotation. I agree. Thomas, not buying Vaki doesn't have the talent at running back because if injuries and having the best duo in the league back there, he has not had a chance to play. Be real, y'all. We'll try to be real. Pierce, rotation run stuffer. Phil, Lions have historically been a very good away team. Yes, especially under MCDC. Gary, there you go, Bo. Don Bird, Detroit 30, Ravens 27. I like the way you're thinking. Mary, yes, I know, guys, but I do like Lopez to bring some pressure. Let's see if he can. unleash the pressure. Thomas, Mary, I watched Lopez, and he got pushed around quite a bit versus Chicago. Well, maybe just had a bad day. Didn't have his Mountain Dew before the game. Attila Hun, 37-27, 30-27, late Tesla touchdown to seal the victory. Let's do that. I like the way you're foretelling the future. Thomas, the Bills had a formula to stop the Ravens. Yo, dude, the Ravens scored 41 points. They did indeed. Kerry, like it, the call down. All right, Thomas, let's not use that, exclamation point. Joseph, 34-28, Detroit Lions. I like anytime you predict the Lions winning. Hookadoo, 34-24, Lions roar loud. Let's roar all over them. Verno, best matchup will be Derrick Henry versus our linebackers. We can stop him. I like it. DM5, be honest. Has anyone heard of Roy Lopez before Brad found him at Scottsdale for Family Dollar? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Robert, morning all. Don Burr, we will win this game, people. Exclamation point. I concur. Thomas, no matter what anybody says, and I love golf. I think Goff is a great quarterback. Until we win a Super Bowl, the Rams won the trade, bottom line. It's your opinion. Go with your opinion. Kevin, the Bills need a small miracle to beat the Ravens. Baltimore controlled 90% of the game, but hey, better luck than good sometimes. Question marks. Go Lions, exclamation points, 33-30. I'll take that, Kevin. Pat, there's no tape on Tesla and Vaki, and that should be in our favor. We'll see. Thomas, 35-31 Ravens. Mary, DM5 TV, you're funny. Get off your penny pitching GM. All right. Brent, 41 points against doesn't sound like a good formula. JC, BB is going to give Lamar a taste of what it feels like for other teams to face Kyle Hamilton. Kirby will be big for this game, too. I like it. I like it indeed. Thomas, Brent DeWitt, exactly. DM5, Mary Smith. I love Brad Holmes. He, the drafter, he just can't get down with his cheap ways. All right. Attila the Bum, good morning, crew. Back at you. JD, big woo for the Lions win. Exclamation point. I like the way you're wooing. Mary, unfortunately, we have to deal with him. DM5. DM5, 100%. Mary, Thomas, again, we cannot leave our gassed defensive line on the field with Lamar at quarterback. He will smoke us. Let's hope not, man. That would probably be illegal to set somebody on fire and then smoke them. Probably not good TV either. Phil, woo! Oh, yeah! Exclamation point. Brent, agreed. Thomas Donner, need to keep our big boys fresh. I do agree with you guys, though, on that. You know, I've talked about it before. I don't like it when they play Hutchinson 90% of the snaps. I would try to keep him like around 70, 75 at the most. See, Stephen, good morning, Duke crew. Exclamation point. Have a do-tastic day, and back at you. Hopefully it is a do-tastic day. Kerry, Aleem is going to be like Hutch when he gets back. Call me on it. We will call you there. Pierce, Kerry, most likely, I agree with you. Southwest, greetings, salutations, Duke crew. Back at you. Good to see you made the show this morning, my friend. Mary, is a thumbs up. See, JDC, happy trails, Duke crew. Victory, I like it. I like it indeed. Southwest Lions will win Monday. I concur with you. Pierce, I don't think Hutch will be full Hutch for another couple weeks. Yeah, it might be, but every week, get a little bit more of the full Hutch. Anymore, have a glorious day, my friends, and stay safe. Same to you. Mary Smith, have a good one, Henry. Bo Booth, happy trails, Duke crew. All done and dusted for another day. See you later. We'll see you then. Pat, Pierce, I think Hutch is almost there when I see him jumping over players. I concur. Silent Service, DM5 TV, and Mary preferred Bob Quinn, I see. All right. DM5 and Mary, excuse me. Joe, holy smokes, Dan O'Damas, exclamation point. The Lions need 3 turnovers to keep up with Baltimore. Nah, but, you know, you get 3 turnovers, you're probably going to increase your abilities to win the game. Pierce, Pat, I couldn't see the game, not in my viewing area, so missed that. It happens, man. It happens. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. If there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as soon as possible. If you would be so kind before departing, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. Take care, do something kind for somebody you don't know, be a good human being, and we'll see you all on the next glorious edition of Lions Talk Live. Take care, all.